welcome back. Sorry it's taken so long to get this video together, but life just gets in the way, and after all, it is a hobby, so I do appreciate you guys sticking with me. So, what we're going to cover today is getting the Arduino set up, making this project in EEZ Studio, exporting our nice UI into Arduino, and then getting Arduino to understand, in our case here, the value of speed, so we can use the value when we, in my case here, pressing the plus and minus buttons, that will increase or decrease the speed, and then that value will be magically transported into Arduino, and we can use that within our code. In my case, eventually it will drive a stepper motor to drive my camera slider, but this is just to show you one way of getting a data out of your UI into the Arduino. In my next video, I'm going to show you a different way how to do it using actions. Today we're using flow, and flow is so powerful. So do stick with me. Use the chapter markers below, so if you know what I'm talking about, just jump to a chapter that you need some guidance on, and hopefully within there I'll explain how to do it. It was a learning curve. It has taken me quite a while to do it. I have been on the Discord servers for help, but once you can get the data from your UI into your code, it's so powerful and opens so many doors. So let's do a new project in here first. So I'll just show you quickly to remind you. Go File, New Project, select this box here. So you would scroll down, select Flow, put a name in of the project. Make sure you, at the moment, you select version 8. Wherever you store your projects, so we just do test here, it will store it. This is the path here. You would create new project. So I've already done that. So this is the project we're working on today. So I'm going to show you. So I was just checking exactly what I'm going to show you. I just looked at my last video. So what I'm going to show you today is getting this background in, getting some custom buttons in, and using this simple flow. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave this here so I don't destroy it, so I can refer back to it, because I'm no master at this. I am just learning the very basics. This is such a powerful program. So you'd have a blank screen here at the moment. So we are going to import some images. So to get an image, that you come over here, and it's called bitmaps. So you click on the bitmap, and this will open, and yours will be empty. So I'm going to import some new buttons, but I'll keep the background the same. But I'll show you how to import the buttons, and you can import your own background. So you go up here to the plus box, and let's put red button. Click on the 3 dots to go and find it. So wherever you've got your images, and we're just going to import this one. And no, we're not. It's a big one. So I've already made my buttons. I found these buttons online, and they're quite big, 435 by almost 435 squares. So I made them smaller. Rightly or wrongly, that's what I'm doing. You can import these and scale them down. Well, let's actually try that on this example. Let's import that big button and see what happens. So we've got a big button there, and I'm going to change it to RGB 565A8 because I want to make sure it's got a transparent background. So I'm going to click OK. So this has appeared here now, and it's appeared in the list. So this is now available for us to drag into the screen. So let's add another one. So we've got the green button imported now, and then if you would do the same thing for the background image, and I made this background image the same size as my screen. So let's now import, or let's now get our new graphics on the screen. So we can click off that, clicking on the bitmap, so you get more real estate. And if you want the center image to become bigger, I hold Control, and on my mouse wheel, I'm scrolling in and out. So to scroll around, I hold Control click the button, click the scroll wheel on my mouse, and then I can move the screen around. So that's how I'm doing it. So I'm just going to make that a bit bigger so you can see it. So we want to get this in. So this is an image. So you come down here to the widget section, click on image and drag it in. And at the moment it's going to be nothing because it has nothing to reference to. So come over here, the properties is already opened, click on image, and any image you've got available will be shown in this box, and we're going to do green button. And there you go. So that's the first one. So we're going to do excuse me. We're going to do the same thing for the next button. Click on click on image, drag it in. You can see on the screen you get the red dots to help you line it up, but you can change this all later. Let go, click on image, and this is going to be red button. And now you can see it's massive because it was a big image. So if we scroll down here, on the scale factor, you change, I'm going to guess 100 is too big, 60, that looks about right. So you can scale it, and it's matching this one. You can fine tune that by playing with the numbers, but that's that. So what else do we need? We need this title of speed. So that was, click on label, drag it in, and it's going to go about there. And it's very small. So we're going to change this to speed, all capitals. Now, because it's black on a carbon background, we can't see it. So we're going to scroll down to style. And we're going to cover styles in another video because that's another powerful feature. Basically, you can set a style up and apply it to your images or apply it to widgets. And if you want to change that style, you can change the style commands and it will change your buttons or your widgets automatically all in one go. Anyway, we'll cover that in another video. So click on default, scroll all the way down and click, you're gonna open text. Now the color defaults to black, so click on that, click on the down arrow, choose a color, and you can see it's now changed to yellow. I was going to say green. Okay, and if you see now in the widget structure, you got these appearing. So if we click on the green, it tells you it's an image and it's the green button, image, red button, and we click on that and it tells you the label, and the label is called speed. So this one is a text area. So I'm going to come down to my widgets, text area, drag it in, sort of line it up. What we need to do now is set up like variables to hold data. So, because we're going to use the variables when we start doing this flow. What we need to do, like I've done down here, is set up some variables. So I'm going to set up 3 new ones because you won't have variables down here. So to do that, all you do is you make them global. You click on the plus button. And I'm going to label mine temp. And what did I call the last one? Set temp set max speed. Type integer. Default value leave as 0, and that's it. So we've got it down here now. Next one we need to do is speed step. And what that is going to allow us to do is when we're pressing on the buttons, you can choose whether you're stepping up as increments of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or whatever increment you want. So let's do another global. So I'm going to click down here and I'm going to call it temp. Speed step. Trying to name it logically to tell me what it is and what it's doing, and that's going to be an integer and that's okay. So the next one we need to do is we want to be able to hold the actual speed value, and we want to be able to like export that into our Arduino code. So the next one we make is going to be slightly different. So we're going to click on here and do temp speed, and it is an integer. But this time we're going to click on native, and when it's native it means it can be used outside of the UI, i.e. inside our Arduino. So if you now look down here, remember you won't have these top three. You've got an integer, well you've got three integers, but the main one we're looking at is a native, and that's going to go into our Arduino code text box. So now this box is expecting some text. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do temp speed, naming it the down here, the native integer we just made. It needs to be named the same, and instead of literal you click on expression. That's all you have to do. So hopefully you can see the logic that this integer down here is now going to be tied to this box up here. The reason this blue square keeps popping up is because we brought in this massive image, and the image is actually as big as that square. So that's why that keeps popping up. On the green one, you can see the green image is, the box is the size of the image. That's why that happens. Okay, let's have a slurp of coffee. This channel is driven on coffee. Right, so now, if we look down on these buttons, a little grey button coming out the side, and that means it's got an event handler. And these are what we're going to be in our events. So we are going to press on the green button. Now this is going to be my minus and this is going to be my plus. You know, these are just images, but it's going to simulate. So you would scroll down to event handler or event and click on event handler. So now you have the option of how your user is going to interact with your button or your image. So I don't know what half of these do, but I'm using either pressed or pressing, or you can use released. So I'm going to use pressing because I want the user to keep his finger on the button to be able to increase speed. So I'm going to select pressing and then select flow, and then that's it. So let me just check. Yes. So now you can see you got the little grey button here. So I'm going to do the same for the red one. That's interesting. I can't see the grey. Ah, it's out here. Right. So here is the grey button we need to use. So it's out here. I don't know if it's draggable. No, it's not. Okay. So let's put some logic into our UI so we don't have to code it in Arduino. So let's start off with the true and false box. So we're going to go down to actions, click on, I'm left clicking on is true and dragging it up. First thing I'm going to do is delete this part here. And in this, it's gone pink because it's now saying I haven't got a value to reference to. So if we click on, well, you can either type in your values here if you know what you're doing by using this and keyboards, or you can click here, and this is, as it says, expression builder. So I'm going to delete that, and I want to first say is temp speed, using the keyboard now, greater than 0, and say OK. So that's the first. So it's only going to do something if this value is greater than 0. So now we need to set a variable. So you come over here and set variable. And again, you select specific value, and it's going to say variable is, in this case, is temp speed. So click on here and temp speed, okay. And then you are going to do what we're doing. We are minusing, aren't we? So click back here. So is temp speed minus temp speed step. Okay. Then we're going to join the two boxes. So we're going to go from yes to here, and then from the grey dot left button to there. So that's that one. Now you can swipe and duplicate that, but you can duplicate that by doing right click and duplicate, but then you have a small chance of messing up the logic like I sometimes do. So I'm going to do it again. I'm going to drag in true and false. And I'm going to delete this. And we are checking if what we're doing. This is temp speed. Sorry, we need to carry on that. Temp speed is less than max speed. Temp speed, keyboard less than max speed. And then we need another set variable. And that is going to be temp speed. Temp speed. And then the variable is we are plussing, so it's going to be temp speed plus temp step. Okay. Join those together. And then remember this button's out here, so I'm going to join that there. Now I think I forgot one step, so I'm going to click back on the button and drag this down out the way. You make sure it's clickable. So you've got to make sure the button is clickable. I think earlier it wasn't. Check that one, clickable. And I've changed these to repeated long press and repeated long press. This should be 0. That doesn't need to be in there. So hopefully now it will work. Fingers crossed, unless I've messed it up. So I also, in the temp speed here, so in the integer, I set a default value because in my Arduino code, I want to have a default speed value. You could put 0 if you wanted to, but I've had a default. Well, I can show you both. So let's just try and run this. So clicking on there, it goes down and it will stop at 0. Clicking on this one, that one's not working. Okay, let's look at the logic. So let's make sure this button is clickable first of all. No, look, it's not clickable. So that's got to be clickable. Let's run it again. So holding the left mouse button, holding the left, so that's it. So if you wanted finer control of something, remember in the speed step we set to 20. Now if I change that to 5 and run it, you'll see we go up and down in 5s. So that is the first part of the UI. So you can build that now. So if you click the checkbox, if you don't get any errors, it means you can build it. So when you are building, you select the destination folder. So let me make a new destination folder. So I am going to call this select a new folder. I'm just going to do temp. So I'm going to select that. That should then build So now we've got all the files in the directory, we now need to do the Arduino. So we can save the project and then and now we can go over to Arduino. So the first thing you need to do is save this project. So you need to save it in the folder that we just made. So I'm going to do File, Save, and find that folder that we just made, and you got to call it, in my case, temp, because it has to be called the same name as the folder it's in. So we've now got, we look in here, so we've now got a folder inside temp called temp. So I'm going to click on that, cut it, and paste it, paste it in there. And now I'm hopefully going to open this. And you'll see that because the file, the Arduino temp file, is within the folder with all the UIs, you can see it's brought on all the UIs. You can see these extra tabs. Click at the end there, you can see them all down here. So now what we've got to do, we need to set the Arduino also to look at that same folder. So I'm going to do File, Preferences, click on Browse, find the folder and click on temp, because that's the folder I'm using for this demonstration, and say OK. And OK. Don't worry about this error down here, is because I've got no Wi-Fi internet at the moment, so it can't update the packages. So if you do File, Examples, it's only got the very basic examples, because now we need to load in the libraries we need to make the UI work. And I can't show you that at the moment, but I'm going to show you the process, hopefully. Okay, so we need to load the libraries in to make this work. So you would type in TFT underscore ESPI, and this is the one you want, Bodmer. Click Install. So the next one you need to load then is the LVGL, and select. So you actually want to install 8.35. If we go over to our temp folder now, you can see we've got the two libraries installed into our temp directory, or in my case, temp directory. The first thing we're going to do is go into this one, scroll down, copy this folder, file, go back and paste it here. And we need to rename this to that. So what I'm going to do, we're going to double click that, and then that will open whatever editor that you're used to using for your screen. And I'm going to pull up my existing version that I know that works. So this comp file we need to edit to get it to talk to the UI system. So I'm going to, as I change these, you need to change this to a 1 to activate it. And then what I do when I change a file, I put my initials on the line that I've changed, and that just gives me an easy reference of to find the lines that I've made. So if I do Control F for find, and I put in the initials I've just done, you can see it highlights that line, and that's the line I've just changed. So top tip for you there. So that's the first line. So the next line I need to change is 49. So this one we need to change to 1. 49, 72. '81. This apparently makes the screen refresh slightly quicker than having it on 30. Tick. Scroll right the way down. Fonts here, it's not a good idea to activate all the fonts because I believe they're loaded into memory and we haven't got an infinite amount of memory. So if you add a font within your UI, you then need to edit this file to allow it to work. And I think that is it. So we'll save that. And in the download, there'll be a working example for my screen and you can copy it from there. So we're going to close those out. I'm going to close that. So what else we need to do is edit in here the TFT eSPI setup. So you come in here, double click on it, and then it will open in your editor of choice. The first thing you need to do is define the driver your board uses, and mine's using 9488. Scroll down, put in the size of your panel by either undefining one of these or undefining them and edit the numbers to match your screen size. Then you will find some of these may work already for your screen, but this is the information I need to add in for my Eddie Crow's screen. So you can copy those if you have the same screen. Then that is it. These are just allowing the standard fonts to be used without loading anything in from LVGL. So that is it. Frequency I've changed here. You can see it was 27 before. That was 20 and that stayed the same. And that's it. So you're going to file, save that. So to use the basic example, we go File, Examples, LVGL, and there's only one example in here. So that will open in a new window. Control A, copy it, and then you can paste it in your sketch folder. Now, I did struggle getting this working, and I don't fully understand everything. So this is one that works. So I've put in some information at the top telling you what versions of the libraries I've used. I've put in some information here of the lines that I've changed, and we know how to search for it. This is an extra line here because we need to include all the lovely UI files that we've made. You may need to change your screen size here. The touch or the flashing has been slightly changed to make it work properly. In the touch, I've commented out the serial print statements because there's no need to keep printing those to serial. I've increased the serial speed. This is starting the LVGL, I believe. Rotation, you can see I've set to 1 and I've told you why I've done it. This is starting the TFT screen. This we're going to cover in a moment because it is important, and I found out the hard way how important it is to do. And then this I changed slightly. It basically prints some blank lines on the serial monitor. It pauses for a while. Gives you some information here. This is very important. It starts EEZ Studio, and this tick is very important to get the whole thing to work. So what we're going to do, we're going to save this for the time being. So we need to set the touch controller up to make our screens work properly. So you're going to do File, Example, down the bottom, Generic, and Touch Calibrate. Make sure your board is selected. Make sure the port is selected. Then we do nothing to this other than upload it to the board. You can see you've got a line of data here, so you need to copy this, Control C, then you can close this program, then in here, gonna just paste it in, and the values are very, very similar. So I'm going to comment out that one, and I'm gonna move that up there, and that's my new values for the touch. So it's still, this whole thing still isn't going to work because we've got one secret ingredient to do, and you need to make a new file. So what you are going to have to do is do 3 tabs, create a new tab, and call it what are you going to call it? Vars, VARS .cpp, and then you will say OK. I've already got, make sure it's a dot and not a comma. Then press OK and you'll get another blank tab. I've already got this, so I'm not going to do that, but I'm going to show you what you're going to put in the file and why you need it. So I'm going to open that file. And this is the magic sauce that took me so long to get working. So you need some includes, and you need to include an integer to store the value of speed. Now I've set it to 100 because that's what my code in the UI has. Now these lines here are the magic sauce. This is saying use an well, this is my explanation. If you know better, please correct me in the comments below. You want to use an external value, and the way you get it is you get var speed. Now this is not going to work. I've got to rename this temp speed, because this is from my old code. So then you basically just put in here what I've done. So once you get it, you need to set it. So I'm going to put temp speed in there. So you're setting now the speed is equal to value, and then you can serial print speed is serial print speed. So whatever value here, it should work. This is not required, so I'm going to comment that out for now. So now, hopefully, if we compile the code, and compiling does take a little while, you've got enough time to go make a cup of coffee and probably drink it, depending how fast your machine is. I'm now going to try and upload it and see what happens on the code and see whether we get any red lines of error. No, we've still got build errors. Right, yes, I know why this is causing me a problem. Right, I've been an idiot. Because I've tried to be clever here and show you what I've been doing, I need to now, you won't have this problem. I've got backups of this, so I am now going to delete everything that I've done here to get the code to run. So if I delete everything here, the error I'm getting is it's still referring to this. Actually, I could leave all that there and I could delete that. If I delete that, make sure you delete the item and used in other parts. I'm going to delete that 7 checks. No, I'm going to have to delete everything. And then I'm going to have to delete my max speed and that. And now if I build it, check it and build it, I've got no other reference to these integers in the UI code that we've made. So if I recompile this now, hopefully we get something on the screen. Always good to leave errors in videos because, you know, I've had many red screens, many red screens in the 4 or 5 weeks I was doing this. Right, sketch is too big. Why would that be? Okay, so what I do now is come up to tools and down here, partition system, you come down to huge app and do it again. Basically what we've done is the images that we're making, probably because I've used that big red button, or was it green, and there's not enough memory on the chip to put our code in its standard partition. So what we've just done is said, well, now use 3 megabytes of our memory rather than only allowing 1.2 megabytes for the app, because we're not doing anything. We're not doing any over-the-air updates with our code. So hopefully it will compile this time. So generally when you get the red errors, you can read them, what they are, and then Google. What would we do without Google? Google the question that it's giving you to find the answer. Just going to check the file here while I am waiting. Yep, see, I've only got these now, temp files. So I'm now looking in the other var file. So before I'd had other vars in, or other temps. I'd have had speed and not temp speed. And because I wasn't using it somewhere else, it throws a wobbly and doesn't like it. So to get back to the beginning, because I now can't scroll to the left, I don't think. Oh, I can, look at that. You can scroll to get back to this one. Here, and because that's only 6060, let's put that bigger. So I've just changed the scale. Let's see. Run it in here first. Okay, that will work. Then we send it to Arduino, recompile. Now turn the serial monitor on and press a button. You can see you've got the numbers in the serial monitor. And by the numbers being in the serial monitor means that you can do something with it. So if we go back to that vars file, CPP that we made, the value that you can use now is speed. So I can now write code to control my on my camera slider. Anyway, let's go back to this one and make the buttons do something. So if you come down to, if you click on the button you want to change, come down to press because you want to do something when you press it, and let's transform it. 256 is standard. Let's change that to 300 and run. And now you can see, now I get this error. I've had this before, and I have, so I do get this error. So you just go back. I know this is not the right way. You just change that down to about 280. And if it happens in the monitor, it will happen, no, a little bit more. If it happens in the monitor, it will happen on the screen. 275. That's one way you can do it. No, you're still getting a little bit of green fringe in there. So 270. So that works. That's one way to transform the button. But I've found that doing button presses like that, that because you've got your big finger on it, you don't see it. So if you go back and we do this one, and we will do pressed and translate. Yes. You can see it's moving. So you can make a pivot point, which I think if we put 30-30, that's the center of the button. Okay? Then change -20 because we've got no screen at the top. It's gone off again. So you can see now you've got movement going down. So if you change that to 40, you press it. If you got your finger on that, you would see it pop out the bottom. So let's just upload that now. Go back to Arduino, recompile it, and I'll show you what I mean about just playing with these features to get the UI to do exactly what you want. It's in the LV comp file is the one you need to edit. And this one here, this we're going to change to 1, 2, 8. You change this to a 1. Save it. Close that. We're going to go back to Arduino. And we're just going to recompile it. And hopefully, when we click the button will remain. It won't disappear. Well, sorry about the sound on the overheads. I know what's wrong, but you can see if I tap the button and don't hold my finger on the screen, the numbers won't increase. The numbers only change if I tap and hold, and that is my sort of safety margin on my coding. Likewise for the decrease button, it does exactly the same thing, and just changing those couple of lines in the code stop the green button from disappearing. Anyway, I hope you have enjoyed this somewhat long and arduous video, but the good news is That, now you've got it set up, you don't have to do it again. All you have to do, what I do, is I copy the directory, in my case called temp. So I copy it over and name it temp2 or whatever your project is called. Then go inside that folder and change the Arduino file, in our case to temp2, and then you're ready to code. You don't have to change any more files in that screen, other than when you in Arduino, when you send new UI files to that directory. If you're, in this case, like I've showed you, playing with numbers, you'd have to change the vars.cpp file to be able to manipulate the numbers inside the Arduino code to give you the data that you're looking for. Anyway, if you've got any questions, which I'm sure you have, please drop them down below. In the next video, it'll be a lot easier, because all I'm going to do is, like I've just said, copy that whole file over, change the EEZ Studio code and change how the buttons work. But that's for another day. It's been a long day here recording. Sorry about the sound. I do know why the sound is not working, so I'll get that fixed for the next video. Anyway, that's Andy wishing you to stay creative. Get out there and try this on your touchscreen. Now I've given you some guidance. Get out and play with EEZ Studio. It's a fantastic program. Just need to play with the interface to see what you can do. And I hope you will join me in the next video. Bookmark it so you don't miss it. I'll try and get it out a lot quicker than I have done this one, because this one I just wasn't looking forward to making, because I knew it would be long. I knew it would be full of issues. I've left the errors in to help you along the way should you get some of the errors. Anyway, that's Andy as ever, saying thank you for joining me this afternoon. Stay healthy and well, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for making it to the end of my videos. If I've earned your respect and your trust, perhaps you would consider subscribing to my channel. It really does make a massive difference. And maybe you would like to watch some of the videos popping up on the screen now. Let me know what you think. Cheers for now.